Welcome back to the Nine Sports Podcast. I am your host, Maya Smith. Aaron Frankel is the 37th most influential Bostonian of 2026, and I am joined by Alyssa again a week in a row to talk about the craziness of the PWHL in the last week.
You are joined by not the 37th influential Bostonian because I've never even been to Boston.
Me neither.
That was hilarious. I did not expect you to open it up that way. It was like, the what?
I've been sitting since like 2 days ago when we found out that, I don't know, Boston, or actually it wasn't even the Fleet who posted, Northeastern posted to be like, by the way, Aaron Frankel is the 37th most influential Bostonian of the year.
Too like she should be higher.
I agree. So I don't know. We did some looking into it and assisted by some other people at the Ice Garden. Some politicians, some CEOs were ahead of her, but like she did beat out a few people. So I don't know. She would rank higher for me, but girl. I'm not voting. I don't know how.
I think so too.
Like, does any of the other people on the list have 8 shutouts in one season? No. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But gold medal, but I don't want to talk about that. So
no. Moving on from Aaron for like 5 minutes before we talk about her again. The regular season is done. The gold plan has been determined and the playoff matchups have also been determined. So we're going to talk about why Minnesota is playing Montreal, why Montreal picked them, and then also the Boston-Ottawa matchup, and then but first, we're going to start with the most important news for me and all of Vancouver, which is the number 1 at the 9 for this week. So the number 1 at the 9, the top storyline of the week, is the Vancouver Goldeneyes won the gold plan, which means that they will be drafting first overall in the 2026 PWHL entry draft. It was actually the second tiebreaker that got them that spot. So they were tied. They won in overtime over Minnesota for their last game, and then Seattle went into overtime and lost in overtime. And so they had the same number of points and they had the same number of regulation wins and losses, but Vancouver had the overtime win and Seattle had the overtime loss, and that is the only reason that Vancouver is getting the first overall pick instead of Seattle. So came literally right down to the last possible minute, but they will have the choice of picking whoever they want first overall. There were some rumblings from players on the exit day on Monday that they would like to play with Caroline Harvey, but Kara Gardner-Morey, who's the GM, said it was a privilege to even be able to have the stress of picking that pick. So it's definitely going to be interesting. What did you think when you found that out, Alyssa, that they were picking first overall?
I'm excited. I personally think there's one player and one player only they should be drafting, and it's Caroline Harvey. You look at her, go to her, what's the Elite Prospects? Oh my God, I almost said Elite Hockey. I've used that website a gajillion times. Go to her Elite Prospects page. There's the countless awards, the points, but also like very underratedly, obviously she's a defender, but very good in her own zone. I don't think there's another player. Layla Edwards is unbelievable, but I think it's gonna be a perfect fit. I genuinely do. I think she's gonna be there. She's gonna have a fan base that loves, their players, and she's very lovable. Both her talent on the ice, but also off ice. She's one of the biggest names in the sport at the moment, and will be for decades. I'm excited for Vancouver, from the team's perspective, and then also the fans' perspective, and also just reading Goldeneyes win the gold plan. Do you think that this is this was crafted where they were okay, name Vancouver Goldeneyes, quack, they're winning the gold plan? So my next question is this a conspiracy theory? Yes or yes?
I mean, it seems pretty nice coincidence to be the Goldeneyes and win the gold plan. Even though the gold plan was named after a man who came up with the idea. So I don't know, but it does.
The Walter Cup, like,
yeah. It's very like perfect, you know. I do have to say, I think like for Seattle, it sucks. Like of the two teams, I think Vancouver showed in the final stretch that they are actually the better team, and would have been if the season was a bit longer. So it is kind of a bummer for Seattle to not get that pick. But then at the same time, like second is going to be just as amazing this year.
Yeah, so this is the type of drafts, like especially like the top 3, like even like the first round, like, but especially like you're getting like obviously Harvey in Seattle would have been amazing because like just for many reasons, but also like, you know, if you're Seattle, you're picking second. If it's not, I don't think that's official.
No,
it's pretty much official. But
yeah,
like say you're picking second, okay, Layla Edwards, like come on down. Like, are you kidding me? You're gonna get a player who, when she's with the like national team, she plays defense, and then when she was with the in Wisconsin, like she plays forward, and she's elite at both ends. Like that's like like that just doesn't happen. And also like what a ambassador as well, like to get for your team, and also just like I think if it's any other year, Layla Edwards goes first overall. It's one of those. It's like, and we're gonna see this with a lot of PWHL drafts, especially like, you know, as like until we have probably over 20 teams, where like those first couple picks, like you switch it up a little bit. One player maybe takes an extra year of college, like whatever it might be. They might like. I do feel for Seattle. Like I agree with everything you just said there. I just think like if you're Seattle and like it looks like you're going to get that second overall pick, you're getting one of the best players in the world regardless.
Yeah. And Sylvia was saying that the Seattle fans are already like ready for Layla Edwards to be on their team.
Yeah,
like they already had signs for her and stuff.
Be.
So yeah, I feel like she'll fit in well like, with that group.
Yeah, I just think I do feel for them though. Like, and I think, you know, Seattle's been a market that like similar to Vancouver, where like, you know, first year and like knocked it out of the park. Like those fans have been like bought in from day one. Like the day they announced the team was coming to Seattle. So like, yeah, it's a bit of a bummer they're not, you know, getting that first overall pick. So that would have been cool, but you're literally getting like it's like a 1A 1B. Like it's not like you're, I don't know, it's not one of those drafts or one of those like prospect classes where it's a clear like number one, and then number two is just like, yeah, like who knows who number two is going to be. But like watch them pick like Lacey Eden instead, and this is all
Abby
who is
Murphy.
Also a fantastic oh gosh. But regardless, I do feel for Seattle fans. However, stoked for Vancouver. I think that's such a great place for KK Harvey to end up if that ends up being the case.
Yeah, and I asked Sophie Jakes about it because we still don't know if Claire Thompson is retiring or not after this year, but the partnership of Jakes and Harvey would be crazy. And she was like, I would love to play with her. She's so smart. She's such a good player. So I was like, okay, 0.1, an extra point in her favor if she needed one, you know.
And what's crazy about that duo as well is like both Patty has winners as defenders, and then also just like their ages, like they're so young. Like that's like
you're there for a long time.
They could be there for a long time, and like again, two amazing hockey players, and then just also like off the ice, like just fan favorites. Like they're so easy to cheer for. I saw your tweet after during the exit interviews, and like I got fired up. Like just like I don't know if they'd be a pairing. Like I don't know what it would be, but like it could be one of those situations where like, you know, most teams do 4 forwards on a power play and 1 defenseman. Like, you know, they might have the advantage per se, or like, you know, feel comfortable enough to run 2D on that first unit, and it's Sophie Jakes and Caroline Harvey. Are you kidding me?
For a team that gets so much of their offense from their defense already, like she would just fit in quite well.
100%. I will say with like, I don't want to stick too much on the draft because I know we're not focusing on that, but I would hope that like Vancouver, you know, obviously that first pick is huge, and like that's a franchise altering player. I just like they need a little bit more. So I'm curious to see where they go from there after that, like where they use their second round, third round, etc. Maybe there's some trades. Who knows? I'm really intrigued by this year's draft. I think it's going to be really interesting because the talent pool is massive.
I agree. And then like with the potential expansion, which we still don't have any information to bring you on that this week. And there's, because of expansion last year and then this year, there are so many players for Vancouver who do not have long-term deals or any deals going into next season. Nurse, Gardner, bunch of people like that. So there will be some changes that will be interesting to see. Yeah.
The whole league is really interesting. Also, there's some players who were the original signings from the league's first season. I'm thinking Blair Turnbull in Toronto. I'm pretty sure off the top of my head, like Renata Fast. Like it's going to be a really interesting offseason for many reasons, whether like for expansion, but I also think, say they had 2 teams, say they had 4, say they don't add any, like I still think there's gonna be a lot of movement. And Vancouver is definitely a market to be watching for that, especially, who wouldn't want to go play with a team that just drafted the Olympics MVP? Like who wouldn't want that, right?
Yeah, for sure. So we do have to, the playoffs are starting, so we'll come back to the draft and expansion. There will be plenty of time to discuss that in the 7-month off season that we have. But first off, let's start. So Montreal in that same game that sorted the gold plan out, their win in overtime or in a shootout gave them first overall, which meant that they had 24 hours to pick their opponent. And they had the choice between Ottawa and Minnesota. And there was a lot of discussion like internally among our coworkers, on Twitter, like everywhere, like who is this going to be? Because it's a really difficult choice. You have the back-to-back champions in Minnesota who are kind of on a slide. They lost like 4 straight games. Or you have Ottawa.
Couldn't we say that the last 2 seasons too? Remember they like tripped and fell into the playoffs the first season, and then last year they made it, but like they went into the playoffs on a losing streak. Like, okay, divas, like what are we doing? Like, okay, we get it, and then you just show up to the playoffs. You're like, just kidding, we got you.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? That's something you have to think about if you're Montreal. And then Ottawa defeated them last year, I believe, when they picked them. So difficult spot, and they choose Minnesota. What was your first reaction to that?
So at first I was shocked.
Me too.
But then I thought about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I at first I was like, oh, okay. But then I thought about it, and you have to think history. They picked Ottawa last year, and Phillips just was like, no. This is my series to win, and there was other factors there, of course, but I just don't think they wanted a repeat. I also wonder if they thought the atmosphere of, and this isn't me to say that Minnesota's home rink isn't loud in a playoff game, because it's not. Like, it is. Sorry, the whole lower bowl's filled out, and it's not called the XL Energy Center, but I'm calling it that because the new name stinks. But like, I'm wondering if that plays a role too, because like Ottawa ended up announcing that they're going to be playing in the Canadian Tire Center, but maybe Montreal was, when they were thinking about this a couple, maybe like weeks in advance here, because it's been between them and Boston for a while. Like maybe it was the atmosphere of playing on the road that played a like thing. Maybe like, I don't know. Like I started to think about it, like, and also who, like, you beat the back-to-back like champs first round. Okay, like who wouldn't want that momentum, right, going into the cup final? So after I thought about it for a few minutes, I understood it a bit more, and also like Montreal doesn't like Minnesota.
Yeah, and like, I mean, like they like, it's just like it's a different kind of rivalry than like Montreal Ottawa, which is more of like a geographical rivalry. Yeah, I agree with you. I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
Okay. I think I agree with you. At first, I was like, that's crazy. And then I was like, well, it's not really that crazy. It's like Ottawa did kind of like fall into this fourth spot, but I don't know that they're that worse of a team than Minnesota. One thing that one of our colleagues made the point of, and I don't remember if it was Dylan who covers Montreal or if it was Reed who covers Minnesota, but the interesting thing about choosing Minnesota is that you leave Boston with Ottawa, and if you give Boston Minnesota, then you maybe don't face Boston in the final. In this case,
Yep.
You're giving Boston arguably the easier matchup, but we've seen the bottom seed defeat the top seed every single time. So the playoffs are just so different.
Yeah, and like again too, like you're like, okay, like let's pick like the worst seed, but like you just said, that hasn't worked. But I think this is the league right now, and like when only four teams make the playoffs, like you get into the playoffs, it's a different game. Like the whistles are a little bit different. The intensity is much higher. The fans are louder. There's more at stake. Like there's you're battling injuries a little bit more, like you're playing through stuff a little bit more. It's a completely different game. It's a completely different, like, not league, but you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And so like my wondering is there like, okay, like I already said a few minutes ago, like let's pick the champs, and let's like, because if we pick Ottawa, like it's going to be a hard matchup regardless. They know that. But like, you know, we're going to probably feel a little bit better about ourselves if we pick the team that's won the last 2 seasons. And then you just never know. You get to the Walter Cup final and you just never know. Like they haven't been there before. And like, I don't know. I'm not betting against a team captained by looks to be a healthy Marie-Philippe Poulin who is in the finals. Like, so I don't know. I like the pick. I think it makes a lot of sense. A bit shocking on like the surface level of it, but yeah, it's gonna be a battle. I'm excited for those 2 teams to go at it.
I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, so Minnesota scored 91 goals this year, which is just insane. Like, I believe Montreal or Boston had the second most. Montreal had the second most, I think, with like 78. So Minnesota was just like scoring a lot this year.
Yeah.
But Montreal won either in regulation or overtime in all 4 matchups against Minnesota this year. They have people who can score, and they have arguably one of, if not the best goaltender in the league. So I feel like that's a bet that you're willing to take, is that Desbiens can out goaltend Panic, Heisey, Curl, all those people from scoring.
Yeah, I think Desbiens, like, season is not being talked about enough, and like it makes sense, you know, like there is a gold medal winning goalie on another team who's like had a bunch of like records like broken, but then like a week later Desbiens breaks the same record. Like it's like it's been really funny to watch. And like she seems like she's healthy. She seems like she's in a good spot. It's gonna be a battle, but I think like none of these series are ever going to be a cakewalk in this league when only 4 teams are making the playoffs, right?
Yeah, exactly. And on the other side, Minnesota's goaltending has not been stellar this year. I was on Reed's podcast on the Ice Garden called Frostbites last week, and we were talking about goaltending, and they were saying that like, yeah, they don't feel super confident in how Minnesota's goaltending has gone. And interestingly, like I put the stats up side by side for myself here. So Rooney has the better stats of the 2 out of her and Hensley, but Desbiens has a 1.11 goals against average and a 0.95 save percentage and 7 shutouts. And Rooney has a 2.04 goals against average, 0.921 save percentage, and 1 shutout. So, like,
I didn't realize Dave. I knew her and Frankel, like Desbiens and Frankel's stats were nuts. That's save percentage.
Yeah,
that's insane. Like that is literally insane.
He would have some other stat that also back setup, but I don't know how to find that stuff. But
it's probably like a high
crazy.
danger scoring or something like that, and like high danger saves. But like that is insane. I haven't. I'll be super honest. Like I'm usually more up to date with stats. I've been following more storylines over the last few weeks, just with life and stuff. But yeah, that's nuts. Again, playoffs are a different ball game. You never know. I think like the past 2 seasons, the Frost have done this like thing where it's like, oh, we barely made it. Our goalies haven't been really good. And then the first series happens. Both their goalies pitch shutouts, and you're like, okay, like relax. Like you just like, oh, you got us. But a 950.
955. But yeah.
Even better. A 955.
Exactly. Like,
okay, I hate to do these comparisons, and you know this, and I'm sure people who have listened to me on podcasts. But the average save percentage in the NHL this year was under 900. And I understand more teams, more shots, more whatever. 955 is insane.
Yeah. And 7 shutouts. Like Frankel has 8. But it's like, just crazy. Yeah.
Oh my god, it's gonna be a fun series. Like I think it's gonna be. It's either gonna be super high scoring, or it's gonna just be like 2-1, maybe a 3-2 sprinkled in here, maybe a 1-0. Like it's gonna be tight, or it's gonna be a blowout. Like it's gonna be like Minnesota's goalies continue to be what they're doing, and then maybe or the other side of it, Desbiens like just it doesn't have it like she did in the regular season, but it's gonna be really interesting.
Yeah, and you absolutely just can't count out the fact that Minnesota has had a better season than normal, and they won back-to-back championships with less good seasons. So
yeah, they know how to get it done. They a lot of these players. I think back to like the CWHL, the NWHL/PHF like days. The playoffs were much different then. The final, in a lot of cases, was just one game. So when I think about that Minnesota team, how many return players they have from their first cup and now their second cup, like their core has stayed the same throughout it all. And that core knows how to get it done in the Walter Cup playoffs. And that's a huge, huge, huge thing. And you hope from Montreal's standpoint that I'm sure they're aware of what they're walking into, but it's gonna be really interesting. That's like the main series, but like the other series too. I'm stoked
super interesting. Yeah, and speaking of players who've been winning championships, Ottawa now has Michaela Cava, who's won like 5 or 6 straight championships. So maybe that's
She's insane in the playoffs. Yeah, and like again, I'm not up to date as I usually am with stats, and like I don't think she's had the craziest stats this season. She did, get moved to Ottawa and whatnot, but like when the playoffs come, Cava's just a different beast. Like every level she's played at, whether it's in China, it's in the CWHL. It's in the PHF with the Toronto Six. Like she's always stepped up. And then with Minnesota in the past as well, of course. Really intrigued to see what she can do for Ottawa against Boston. Really, really intrigued there.
Me too. And so, so with Montreal and Minnesota being the matchup, we have Ottawa and Boston. And every game between these two teams this year went into extra time. So get ready to be watching a lot of hockey in this series. Ottawa actually won 3 of the 4, and Boston only won 1, which is interesting. Boston missed the playoffs last year as well, and Ottawa went all the way to the finals. So it's been a huge bounce back year for Boston. To me, I think they have the edge in this one, but they have 74 goals for this season, and Ottawa has 71. So similar level of goal scoring, and then their goaltending has also both been fantastic.
Yeah, you can't talk about the Boston Fleet without talking about Aaron Frankel. Like just historic season, like you said, like 8 shutouts, like just insane. She's so poised in net. Like I watch Desbiens in net, and she comes out to play the puck, and I just want to throw up. I watch Frankel in net, and she's like meditating while making saves. It's actually insane, and she's so tiny too. It's the craziest thing to watch. I also think like the Megan Keller effect, like she just won and had the golden goal in Milan, and like she knows like what that felt like. And I'm sure first year as captain, like Boston's always kind of like been her home. She's from Michigan, but like went to school in Boston and everything like that. Really hard to not take Boston in this series. And I also think Boston obviously has had the best, like if not like tied for the best goalie in the world this season. But defensively, like they play such a sound game for me. Like it's just like a masterclass in a lot of ways. Like they're just like super composed. And then when I watch Ottawa, like they're so run and gun at times. It's going to be really interesting to watch them in a 5-game series. Like I'm really, really intrigued. Is it 5 or 7 games in the? Yeah, it's 5, right?
It's 5. Yeah,
it's 5 for both. They're considering extending it in the future, I think, is what I'm getting confused with. I think it's going to be 2 interesting teams to see in a playoff battle because of, I think, a Boston in their own zone with, like, again, Franklin Nets, like, so calm, like and then there's just Ottawa who's just like, all right, gun it, like just go in, like it's gonna be a really fun series. I do have Boston having the edge, but don't count out those pesky Charge team, man. Especially like Claire, like their coach is back. Like it's just and then you got Phillips. You just never know.
Exactly. And that was what I wrote in we'll have a roundtable out from some of the Ice Garden writers about this series on Thursday when you're watching this. But basically what I wrote was like, if Boston gets thrown off of their plan because Ottawa is chaos at all times, then that could really be the deciding factor, I think. Like if Ottawa gets a few goals that they're not expecting and Phillips is really strong or things like that, I think that could be the difference maker. Because like you said, like Boston is very calm and they know their game and they do it well. And Ottawa is just kind of like getting in there when they can get in there. And if Phillips...
They're annoying.
Yeah, they are. And
in the best way, yeah.
Yeah, and they'll like take penalties or get penalties called, like draw penalties. Like, I don't know. I think it'll be more even of a series than we think. And Ottawa, they made it all the way to the finals last year, and Boston made it all the way to the finals the year before. So they both have things to prove. And yeah, it's 2 series, I think, that could go either way. Really.
100%. I think that's the league in a nutshell, right? Like, I think that's when it comes to Montreal with who they picked. Like, I think they could have just literally like threw two, like a dart at both teams and just like that could have been their decision. Like, truthfully, it's gonna be. It's all the Walter Cup playoffs are so unique. Like, I have both years I've gone into it with like predictions, and my predictions have been so off, and like. I'm not like, I don't think I'm the perfect ball knower, but like, I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of, the vibes and like also just like how teams play and stuff. And like, I've just been wrong both years. And like, I'm going into this one of being like, I don't know what's going to happen. I can have these like predictions. I can feel like I'm going to see maybe a Boston Montreal final, but like, who knows? Maybe we might get the same matchup we had last year.
Exactly. And we could, it could be
might get an all Canadian. Yeah. We also might get an all Canadian matchup. Like, who knows? Like, I think it's I'm trying to go into it with a bit of a different mindset than I have in the past because like it's just a different game. Also, like the concept of these teams being at their home rinks. Ottawa's in a bit of a different scenario. I've been seeing some mixed emotions about this. So funniest thing, it's game 4 of the Stanley Cup playoffs in round 1. Ottawa is the Senators are down 3-0 in the series. Game 4 is on an afternoon game on a Saturday. They are currently losing, and tell me why the Ottawa Charge social media account, as it's like halfway through game 4, the game is not done. They post that all their home games of the playoffs are going to be at the Canadian Tire Center. And the tweets were hilarious. There's a person who works in the Winnipeg Jets. Her name's Alyssa. I don't know how to say her last name. A lot of people will know who I'm talking about, but she like quote tweeted and she was like, the body's not even like cold yet. Yeah. Like it wasn't even like, it was still going. Like it was, we weren't even fully eliminated yet, but some of the other side, like I think that's super exciting. Like Ottawa loves their hockey. Like there's a reason they picked Ottawa as a market. That was the last one they decided. And like, I'm excited to see what that crowd looks like. However, there's something really special about that TD like crowd with all the kazoos. It's the weirdest structured building in the world. It's
yes, it's really
the
weird.
wall. It's super weird. If you ever go in person, like I saw a rivalry series game once there, like pre-COVID, and like I just like looked around me. I'm like, is this what is happening? And then someone told me that's like the football stadium on the side. I'm like,
yeah,
cool.
Just kind of jammed in there.
That's like when it comes to home ice advantage, I worry about Ottawa for that for a little bit. I still think like the vibes in there are going to be great. The kazoos are going to be out. It's going to be insane. They're going to be chanting. They're going to be booing, etc., etc. However, I wonder if there's like the sense of, we don't have our locker room. Also, if you look up, if you've never been to Ottawa, where the Canadian Tire Center is compared to where the Charge play, where they play normally, it's a good 20-minute drive. Like it's like where Ottawa normally plays in the regular season, it's pretty much downtown. Where the Senators play, where they're going to be playing their World Cup playoff games, it's
not even
like it's in Canada.
Ottawa.
Like it's not even Ottawa. Like it's in Canada. Yeah. Like it's not even the same city technically. So I'm wondering, like I'm curious to see, and like obviously the Senators are done, so like they're probably getting their dressing room. They're gonna have NHL like facilities. Level. Like so there's like bits and pieces of it that I'm like intrigued by, but I'm like, I just think they're stoked to be in it too at the same time. But home ice advantage is going to be huge. Like that Montreal crowd's going to be a lot of fun as well.
Definitely. I agree with you. It's a different rink regardless of any of the other things. Like it's still a different rink. So I'm with you. I think also interesting will be Minnesota and Montreal. Those teams sent so many players to the Olympics. Like you're getting on to having played so much hockey. We know Poulin's been injured. She didn't say she was fully healthy. She wouldn't say whether she was or not. But you could see like any of like Panic and Heisey, who are like two of the top scorers in the league, they are going to be getting tired. Like the longer this goes on, the more the fatigue is going to be coming. So I think that will also be super interesting.
Yeah, I wonder too, like with Pooh, like there's a reason she didn't play. I'll tell you right now, if the playoffs started a month ago, she would have been playing in them. Like she wouldn't have been off like she was. So like I'm curious to see how she looks in like a full playoff game and stuff. And I know she like made her return in the final season, like regular season game and stuff, but I'm hoping I'm hoping that, helps like I'm just curious to see, because like she very much was not herself in Milan after the knee injury. We all know that. But I'm curious to see where she's at. Like, I think that's a huge factor for them, not only from the skill aspect, but like that's the heartbeat. Like she's their captain. Yeah. Like she is Montreal. So I think sitting her for as long as they did, even though I'm sure she hated every freaking second of it, like was the best thing for them. And like, you look at Kelly Panic, like I don't know where her health is at. She was the leading goal scorer though. So like, obviously she was good enough to play, but who knows? Like maybe like that's such a good point to bring up in that series.
Yeah, it definitely could make a difference. We will see. I don't think either series will be over, barring like a sweep that we're not expecting. Did you want to make any predictions after you said you don't want to make any predictions? But
I still do. I think when I'm going to go with my prediction here is I think goalies are going to play a huge part, but maybe not as much as we think. I don't think we're going to see a single shutout in either series.
There we go. I like it.
Yeah, I think we're going to see lots of overtime, which like we've seen before. Yeah. Montreal fans, I am so sorry. Like and Boston fans, you're back in the dance now too, I guess. So
yeah.
But
at least they're all in the Eastern and Central time zones. No 10 p.m. Eastern overtime games.
Falling asleep in the second period intermission there. I just and then my additional actual prediction: all Canadian World Cup final.
Let's do it. Redeem the Olympic.
Give it to me. I want to be so Canadian down.
Yes, exactly.
Give it to me.
I love it. All right, and all red matchup in the final then too. No Christmas colors.
No Christmas. Get out of here with Christmas.
No Christmas. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Alyssa. It's always great to have you here. Do you want to once again tell people where they can find you if they weren't listening last week?
Yeah. So on Instagram, a.turns, TURNZ, and then TikTok, Alyssa.Turner, I think 11. And then if you don't follow me on Twitter, and if you would like to, I think I'm still on private, but it's Alyssa or A turns 11. But I'm sure you could just Google Alyssa Turner women's hockey.
It'll be down below too.
Pop up. But yeah. Always down for more friends. I don't tweet as much as I used to, which is probably good for my mental health. But yeah, I'm fired up. I think I'm gonna be really dialed into these playoffs, so probably come up private eventually here. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your wisdom with everybody, and thank you all for listening. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe, follow, all those things, and we'll be back next week.